My name is Russell Holiday. This is the Nothing is Perfect podcast. And today, my co host, Dustin Boydell, and I are joined by none other than the godfather of Canucks content creation on YouTube, Canuck Clay. We're going to chat about the good and bad of last season. Canuck Clay will let us know his letter grade for the Canucks offseason, and we'll definitely be looking ahead to the new season ahead of us and what our optimism levels are across the board. So enjoy the conversation between myself, Dustin Boydell, Canuck Clay, here on the Nothing is Perfect podcast. All right, as I mentioned, we're very excited for this 13th episode, lucky number 13, to have Mr. Canuck Clay join the Nothing is Perfect podcast. How you doing today, brother?
I'm great. Thanks, Russell. Thank you, Dustin. Great to see you guys. Great that we can support each other through the true dog days of summer, but we're a month away from training camp. So I guess that's something to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A couple of weeks, eh? We got the showcase for the prospects on September 12th and 13th. So we're less than, like 3 weeks away now from watching some form of Canucks hockey.
Oh, yeah. For better or for worse, we're ready.
Well, you talk about for better or for worse. And I mean, it's hard to imagine worse than what we witnessed last season. I mean, Russ and I have been praying it doesn't get any worse than that, because boy, oh boy, going into your second year of Canucks content creation, it was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
You guys, isn't it funny? We can actually see the Canucks get 5-6 more wins, 10 or 12 more points, 13 if you had a couple ties, and they could still be 32nd in the league. That's how bad it was last year.
Yeah.
They locked up last pace with a couple weeks left to go. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so Dustin mentioned me and him have been doing this for 2 years. How many years have you been doing the Canucks content creation thing now, Clay?
Yeah, my YouTube channel just turned 22 years old, but true Canucks content, I'd say coming out of the 2010 Olympics, 2011 Cup final, but not daily until about 2016, 2017. But I was too busy writing those horrible parody songs and performing them with Marie Huey. That was kind of like the genesis of my Canucks stuff. And then truly about the mid-teens was when I more live streaming, more actual interviews and that kind of thing. But yeah, been around for a long time, man. Been around for a very long time.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you mentioned yours started with the parody songs, and then my start was with the highlight music videos on Reddit. So it's interesting how we both kind of got into the Canucks content creation without really doing it as a daily kind of podcast thing. But here we are now.
Yeah. Yep. Still standing barely, but yeah, we're here.
So
yeah,
Clay,
and I just kind of fell into it with Russ. Yeah. I mean, he just reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you want to come on? I'm going to do this thing." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
How do you guys know each other? How did you guys meet? Through this?
No, actually, we used to play roller hockey together. When I was in college, just out in our early 20s, I guess. Yeah, there's the cup. We do have a championship together. It was just a ragtag bunch of guys in mismatched white jerseys, but we played our butts off, and Russ and I were actually defense partners.
It was out at Sportsplex in Langley.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have roller hockey there anymore.
Yeah. Well, it was just we kind of cycled, right?
Okay.
But I lined up on the left more often than not and let Russ kind of go, because we're both left-handed shots. So it was,
Yeah,
I was
awesome. The chaotic offensive defenseman who I even took face-offs a lot of the time because roller hockey's weird. So a lot of the time we'd line up with the two wingers on either side of me, Dustin behind me. I'd take the face-off, and it was I was more of a roamer than a defenseman out there, but he covered my butt all the time, and I appreciated it.
Oh, so roller hockey, that's awesome, man, because I play with my church guys. We call it the Holy Rollers, of course, because that's what a church team would be called. And we had guys that could probably play, maybe not Div 1, but maybe Div 2 for sure. Then we had guys like me who truly were just trying to get some exercise. So it's really funny. The good guys on other teams, maybe it's like this for you guys too, they go after the good guys. Like there's a kind of a battle there, a pride, where they knew me. Was getting some exercise, so they just kind of left me alone, and it was great. Like anytime I'd get knocked down, I'd be laughing. Every time I'd run into someone by accident, I'd be laughing. I just had a great time, and and until I got one concussion. My only concussion was through roller hockey, and it wasn't even dirty. I was leaning for a puck. It was my fault, and I think a guy's knee came up into my head, and it was the scariest thing. I don't know if you guys have been unscathed in your hockey career, but that was bad. I haven't played since, actually.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Dustin, I'm sure you've probably had a concussion or two over the years, eh?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. And growing up in the time where it's like, oh, you don't really go to the doctor. It's like, oh, my
Yeah.
headache will go away. But I definitely rang the cage off the surface a few times.
Wow.
Getting my feet taken out from under me and things like
Oh.
that. And I mean, you don't wear as much padding.
Yep.
Everything is still very fast paced, and so you can get hit pretty hard, even though it's not physical contact. It's 4-on-4, so there's so much space out there.
True.
And so we did have teammates that had some pretty intense injuries happen. I almost blew an MCL out in one of the early seasons. I mean, it's just, it was like the Wild West out there. Very, very different type of hockey, that's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even wear a visor
Yeah.
when we started playing, and I took a stick like right between the eyes, grade 3 concussion. And then it's one of, like Dustin said, you don't even think about it. I literally left the game, drove home, drove to Mission because I heard that you could get stitches there easier, went to bed, woke up the next day and went to work. And then I'm standing there, and I used to work in a window manufacturing plant beside a blade that was like, you know, probably like 30 inches across. And I'm just sitting there back and forth about to fall over. And I was like, I don't think I should be here right now. And went to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you should not be at work. You need to be off work for like a little while. So
Yeah.
start wearing a visor.
And
right
that's why
after
we,
that.
yes, that's why we talk about hockey now as opposed to play it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Clay, let's for anyone who's been living under a rock and hasn't already liked and subscribed to Canuck Clay, what can you say about your channel? What can they expect when they're tuning in to see you on a night-to-night basis?
I appreciate that. Yeah, during the season, Russ and Dusty, I do nightly live streams. So 5 nights a week, Sunday through Thursday at 11 p.m. And I chose such a weird time because I go to a lot of games, even as a non-season ticket holder. I'll still get out there, church activities, bowling, whatever it may be. So, but I know that I'm home by 11 for sure. Maybe not 10, maybe not 9:30, but I'm home by 11. And I wanted to kind of be the go-to guy, like Sports Page was back in the day when we were growing up, like Sportsnet Connected was, right? And you guys are usually done by then, so I don't have to worry about the competition. No, I don't worry about that anyways, because you guys. So, I want all of us to grow, but no, seriously, there's no one usually on at 11, and everyone tries to go on at 11 against me. Then they're being silly. No, but but I think yeah, no. I think the key to my channel is the community that I've built. Like I've never proclaimed to be an insider. I'm not the best analyst. I'm not a stats guy. I'm just a guy who's genuine. I try to be, at least transparent. And we built a community. I know you guys have bounced in my channel. I really appreciate that. And it's just, it's meant for someone who wants a safe place to talk about the Canucks. And they might not know Corsi, they might not know expected goals, you know, saved, whatever, but they do know that they can come and there is a safe community where they can express themselves, ask a question or two, and hopefully get a decent answer from either me or someone in there. So that's kind of my bread and butter now, is the nightly live streams. Still do some Zoom interviews, appear on shows like yours, have guys like you guys on mine, media members, and you know, a couple fun videos here and there, previews, reaction videos. But the live streams, I think, are the bread and butter. And during the summer, when there's less to talk about, I still go 3 times a week. The one thing I will say, guys, really quickly, is along with the community that come, the public people that come to the streams, is I built a really nice members base as well, 3 different tiers. And it's not about making money. It's not about you know, donations or views even. It's about even getting to know my subscribers and my supporters even better, and building genuine relationships. And I don't know if it's my church background or just the way I was built, but it's amazing, guys. I'll do these half-an-hour Zoom calls with these members, these paid members. We don't even talk about the Canucks, and not just because they're bad, but we don't even talk about them because we talk about blessings and challenges and family life and relationships and work, school. And it's been the biggest blessing to the channel has been not just getting recognized once in a while at the arena. More importantly, it's building genuine friendship with some of the people on my channel. Excuse me. Yeah. So I'm very blessed by it, for sure.
Yeah, Dustin,
it's
I
very
think you can
admirable
speak to this, right? Just the love and the support that we receive from this crazy group of people that tune into almost every single stream that we're live. It's you know, it's humbling to have so many people who are just so excited to see us on the screen.
Yep.
For sure. And it's admirable that you stay genuine and true to yourself, especially in the Canucks fan base, which we all know can be full of vitriol and hatred and all sorts of chaos. So to have that space where you might not understand the ins and outs or the, the behind the scenes things or the code of hockey, stuff like that. I try to do my best to answer questions however I can for people to understand, the points that Russ and I are trying to get across. And, we've had a lot of haters that we've actually converted, and they're some of our biggest supporters now. Just because we stay true to ourselves. We don't try to be big and braggadocious or try to say we're right and you should listen to us. I mean, I get to say that after the fact a lot, but no, it's just a great place for people to come. It's a great way to connect with other people, get to know other people from all sorts of places. One of our own moderators in Swerve and Irvin talks great about the Canuck Clay community. We saw that he was working the grill recently for the Canuck Clay meetup.
Got to get you guys to the next one for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll be at the next one, especially if the shish kebabs are on the grill again, because it looked like you guys were eating very well, and it's great to see stuff like that happening, especially in the summer for Canucks fans when there isn't much news around the team, and especially with these new guys at the helm that are keeping the leaks. I mean, pretty much sealed up tight. It has been great. I actually enjoy it because it makes me laugh. Some of the rumors and things that people are trying to drum up, and it's just like, nope.
Well, if I may, I want to give you guys a comment in a second, but anyone listening on the audio side, if it sounded like I was crying or tearing up, yes, I am passionate about my community, but no, I actually had something in my throat. So on the audio side, I was not crying in my previous answer. but a couple things real quick. Dustin, blessed to have 20 people gather on a random Sunday in August just to hang out and maybe a bit of Canucks talk, but more just because these are people that have seen each other on my show, on your show, and just they want to put a face to the name. That's pretty cool. We don't have to be best friends, but it's the Canucks that bind us. And if that's 20 people that maybe these people wouldn't have known otherwise. And you're right. There's a lot of crossover. And I do want to say really quickly before it becomes a mutual admiration society. No, I've always told Russell, I love what you guys do. I love how genuine and how innovative Russell is. I always say there's always room for Canucks content creators, because especially when the team's doing well, we want the fan base to grow. We want everyone to be able to speak their mind and do so without judgment. But there's a lot of copycatting around as well. And you can call it imitation is the sincerest form of flattery or whatever it may be. But I noticed that you guys are very innovative, just the way that you run your intermissions, the way you do your post game, and Russell, the way that you're goofing around on the stream, yet you're still trying to get to every comment. I really appreciate what you guys do. You have great chemistry. Doesn't mean you always agree with each other, but you care for one another and you care for your community, and it comes out in spades. And I think we need more of that, quite frankly.
Yeah, Clay. One thing I've always wondered about too, because obviously you do the Canucks After Dark thing. So how did that all get started? And tell us a little bit about what that show's like and what people can expect from that one.
Sure. So Canucks After Dark, Russell, is on Monday nights at 10 p.m. So basically on Monday night, that's the only night where I'll start a little bit later than 11 because I have to finish off with Parker. So it's Parker Hollowell. Parker's Pucks is his handle. And, this guy's sharp. This guy, when I talk about I'm not an analyst guy, I'm not, I don't know all these advanced stats. He knows them. He knows them very, very well. And we make a really good combo because I can play the serious guy. I can play the thoughtful guy, but that's what he is. I'm not sure if Parker's ever told a joke in his life. No, I'm just kidding. So he plays the straight serious guy. And, I kind of bounce around here and there. He's kind of the steady guy and I'm kind of all over the place, but I think we have really good chemistry. We trust each other. That's the biggest thing. When we first started, he was starting his channel and I had seen his stuff on YouTube and I was like, wow, this guy's sharp, right? And he sent me a DM on Twitter back then and he said, hey, would you want to collab with me and do a show once a week? And I wrote back and I said, yeah, I've seen your stuff. Sure, let's do it. And he says to me now, however this makes me sound, that he was surprised that Canuck Clay would say yes to him. But I said, no, you're good. And I think we can do something. But back then we were preparing for half an hour. And now we're literally getting on 2 minutes before 10 o'clock, texting each other. Where are you, man? See you back, in the back in the StreamYard. Like, come, hurry up. And it's just that chemistry there. And he used to do his own channel, but life's getting busy. We're all getting busier, so we really value. We're taking a break over the summer, like many shows, but yeah, during the season, once a week. And Parker is great. So if Canucks After Dark is the weekly show that we do. So thanks for letting me talk about it. He's wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot, and you're very right about the chemistry between the two. It's interesting because I think you're starting to see a lot of duos in the Canucks content creation community as well. There's a lot of different channels that you do see two people on every single one, and I think there's something to be said for that because Dustin quite often is the analytics guy, and I'm the one who's goofing off putting a bag on my head. So he's the one that keeps me on the straight and narrow when I get a little bit too off the rails. So.
So what you're saying is if Dustin and Parker had a show, it'd be great for the hardcores. If you and I had a show, it'd be a disaster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, but Russ provides the stats, and I have pattern recognition in a way that I'm able to articulate it for people to understand at whatever level of hockey fan they may be, right? Like,
good.
I know if I'm talking to an extreme fan, I can say certain things and leave out the finer details because they're going to know the fine things, right? But someone who's new to the game or might be new to the channel, sometimes they'll ask what some fans might consider a stupid question, but there's no such thing, right? And that's the beautiful thing about our chat is we have all levels of knowledge with hockey, and everyone's just there to support the Canucks, support Russ and myself. You talk about hard work, like you were talking about Russ and being unique and in the content creation atmosphere, to do the work that he does and cover every game and do the play-by-play every single game and do these double headers. And I mean, the schedule he's come up with this year, he's not slowing down. And so I just try to hold on and keep up.
Yes.
Right. But now I want to say what I admire about Canuck Clay. Because everyone's talking about what there's two things I've always admired about you, Canuck Clay, as we keep the compliment train going. There's two things, and that's something that Dustin just mentioned, right? Like sometimes you do get questions from people who are new to hockey, and a lot of people would just brush it off and be like, "Oh, I can't believe you don't know what icing is, or you don't know whatever the question is." And the other thing too is you're very gracious with your time for anyone, like you said, like Parker, who didn't really have any kind of foothold in this community or a really big name for himself, and you were willing to do that. You were willing to help out content creators that are just getting their feet under themselves and help them find their way too. So those are two things that I've always admired about you. It's like, it doesn't matter what people ask you, you're going to have a thoughtful answer for them. And you're always willing to help out some of these kids and people who are not so much kids like me, who are just getting our feet under us as well.
I appreciate that. And as life stages too, right? My wife, vice principal, goes to bed super early. Like, so she's going to bed at 9 and 10, just when I'm revving up, right, for the night. And then my three kids, Sean just got married, as you guys know, so he's out of the house now. My other two are quite independent too. So it's a different time, right? If it's 20 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have the time and the energy. And lastly, the one thing I will say is I do. You hear stories like about Jason Botchford. Oh, he was so good at giving back and helping people. He never big timed anyone. It was interesting for me in YouTube, and I don't say this as a braggart. I say this in honest truth. I didn't learn from anyone. I was one of the first ones, quite frankly. And and I say this now humbly because there are people that started even the last year or 2 years. Like, think of guys like Nuckhead, who, if you look at just subscribers, they're way past me. The Lego Roxes of the world. I'll never be the hockey guy, and I don't want to be those guys. Like, they do their thing, I do my thing. But yes, I did have to kind of figure out myself, and I'm proud to say that I did that. But I'm also proud to share if people want to. Like, I'm not just going to go unsolicited say you should do this, you should do that. But I have had a few, new content creators ask me for advice, and I'm happy to give it. And I say, my road hasn't been perfect. I've learned a lot. Ups and downs, learn from, but I always say, I have a lot of strengths. I have way more weaknesses, but I want to live out of my strengths and bless people with my strengths, and while acknowledging that I do have those weaknesses.
So Clay, one question I love to ask guests who come onto the show, and I don't know if I've asked you this one before, but I'm going to ask you anyways, just because we're on the podcast now. Do you have a welcome to the NHL moment? And people talk about, oh, I had to face off against Sidney Crosby, and it's different, right? Obviously, these players playing in the NHL. But running your YouTube channel, you have had some run-ins with some personalities from around. I'm sure you've had run-ins with Canucks players, Canucks brass, that kind of thing. Have you had a moment where you had like somebody recognize you out of the blue or that kind of thing. What is Canuck Clay's welcome to the NHL moment?
It was the 2019 All-Star game in San Jose, and PD was there. And I was there with a VIP package with someone basically who knew, he knew like one of the hockey card reps. So he had this, fully paid stay. And so we were at all the after parties. So at one of them, I met some players, met Gary Bettman. I was shocked that he was taller than me, more embarrassed actually that he was taller than me. So here's my Gary Bettman story. We all think he's this short, goofy guy, right? But I recognize that he's always standing next to guys that are on skates that add 2 or 3 inches. So yes, he is short already, but he looks even shorter. So when I took a selfie with him, I looked at it after I took the picture. I'm like, what the heck? This guy's 2 inches taller than me. Like, it's so embarrassing. So anyway, so then I was hanging around, and then I saw PD come up. And then I'd never met him before. And Marie and I just wrote a song called How Sweet It Is to Be Deked by You, right? And then I introduced myself. I said, hi, Elias, I'm Clay Emo. I'm down here from Vancouver. And as I'm introduced myself, he goes, don't worry, Clay, I know who you are. And so either he was BSing me so I would leave him alone, or he actually knew of what we did. So that was kind of cool. Just one of those moments. And the other one really quickly is Spencer Martin. I was volunteering at the Milford, one of the golf tournaments one year. And I was helping Spencer Martin load his bag onto his cart. And I was telling him that I was a YouTuber. And I said, Spencer, I've talked about you a few times in my vlogs because, and then he finished my sentence. He goes, yeah, you said that I have, it sounds like I have a microphone in my pads because it reverberates through the arena. So he had actually watched at least one, or someone told him about one of my videos where I was talking about his pads were so loud. Like he makes the pad safe and it goes boom, and you can hear it like all over the arena. But he picked up on like some stupid nuance like that. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. Little things amuse me, as you guys can tell.
Well, I mean, goalies are all weird in their own right, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's something that you always kind of wonder, right? Because obviously we're putting information, we're putting video, we're putting audio out to the world. So it's like, what kind of information is either making it to the team, making it to the players, making it to the friends and family of the players. So it's one thing that you have to keep in mind, for worse,
right? Yes.
And I mean, we had Whit on last week, and that's something he talked about is like some of the content, because obviously he talked about the fact that he's not part of Canucks Uncensored anymore. So it's one of those things where he became very aware of the fact that if he put something out there in the world and he said something about somebody, then there's a very likely chance that somebody's going to actually see that. So you got to be careful about what you put out into the world as well.
Well said. Well said.
Well, I mean, I better never meet Petey then, because you'll think I'm a stalker.
No, I think
that's awesome.
He's a Dusty fan.
I'm pretty sure I'm his biggest defender.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think between the three of us, we have a trifecta of at least guys that want to see PD do really well. Not just so we can trade him, because we want him to do well, and the team needs him to do well.
Just to succeed as a person, just given everything he's gone through off the ice that fans don't recognize. The conned out of money and the two miscarriages in single season, and just the hate that he gets and still pulls the jersey on. I mean, it's just to me, that's incredible. So I commend the kid, because if I was that age going through or seeing some of the stuff that was said about me, man, I don't know how I'd be doing. That's for sure.
Preaching to the choir, brother. Preaching to the choir, man. Yeah.
So a couple tidbits of sort of Canucks news that have happened, because it's August. So that's what we're talking about. But it's very cool. So Walter Sedin, son of Henrik Sedin, has just signed a professional contract with the Vancouver Whitecaps. Pretty crazy, Canuck Clay, to see the youth of somebody who we grew up watching, sort of, and now their kids are old enough to be playing for a professional soccer team. What did you think when you saw that news? And do you think Henrik is disappointed he didn't become a hockey player?
So I'm always curious about the Sedin kid, because he's the same age as my daughter, and so she would mention that, like, whether, I don't know if they follow each other on Instagram, but she was basically keeping tabs on his soccer career. So I think it's awesome. Like, it just shows that the athletic gene is very strong in their family. But what's really interesting is what you said, how it's not the players that we used to follow. I mean, we do follow. It's their their kids. And I think about that, Russell and Dustin, every time, like, I'm not a selfie guy. I'm not an autograph guy. And not because I think I'm their level, but I just like to meet a player and say, hey, have a great season, or how you doing, or I hope your injury's going well. And I'm not the first one running up, can I take a picture? Because I'm old enough to be their dad is the main thing. But basically it's the fact that I'm old enough to be their dad because it's different when 20 years ago, like I said, when I started doing YouTube when I was 32, and then I was at least in their generation, right? But now literally, I'm double these guys' age, and it's a different time for sure.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. Like, ever since I became a father, I've had a different view of professional athletes and things because I'm getting older, and it's like, okay, you look at them and you're like, these are just kids.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where I have a nephew going to a WHL training camp this year.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, why do my knees hurt? And why is that? Just like, oh, I'm getting old. But I love to see the next wave of prospects. And I'm so eternally grateful. I tell Russ this all the time. Like, I'm so grateful for him asking me to take the time to focus on Abbotsford, because I became so much more in tune with our prospect and the prospect pool, and what it was going to take to develop some of these kids, and who was going to make it, who wasn't going to make it. And that has prepared me for now the rebuild, because I'm so much more in tune with what we have coming. And I just try to put that excitement into what we're talking about, because there's so much. I think the bar or the expectations are so low from some Canucks fans going into next year. Yeah. They are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think by the time we get to Christmas, things might be shockingly better than advertised.
And Russell, that's cool. That's cool. And Russell, just to get back to the actual Sedin question though, with the kid, I'm not saying that it means for sure that they're going to be settled down in Vancouver, because obviously you can live anywhere and play for a pro team. You don't have to live in the city that you play for, but it just speaks to, I think, I don't know if it's the talent in the family, like I said, or it is, there's a source of pride as a Vancouver Canucks fan, as someone who's living in the Lower Mainland, to think that the president of your hockey team has a son who wants to play, or made it, or whatever, who's kind of it's another almost peg, right, in the ground. It's another stake in the ground, I should say. It's another way of saying, hey, these guys are connected to what we're building here as a culture, as a sports community. I think it's great. Like, I don't see anything wrong with it at all, except for the fact, yes, that they're playing different sports.
Yeah. Well, speaking of kids, I just had my first a couple weeks back, Clay. So as a father of three, do you have any advice for me as I deal with the screaming and the pooping and the constant feedings at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, and Dustin, you can jump in here too. My biggest thing is parent your way. You and your wife are going to have a way. Your parents are going to have a way. Her parents are going to have a way. Every Tom, Dick, or Harry is going to have a way. But only the best way to parent your kid. Bedtime, feeding, changing, schedule, all those things. You can certainly take advice from people, and you can choose who you take advice from, right, depending on their track record as parents. But I would just do your own thing, and don't worry about what other people say. That's the first thing. And the other thing is like, this sounds so silly for me to say, because you have a 2-week-old and I have a 25-year-old who just got married. It's so funny, because we talked on the phone last week how we're basically almost opposite ends of the spectrum of a kid, a firstborn. But the time does go fast. And it's so funny to say that, but I remember Sean being born 25 years ago. I remember how I lamented not spending enough time with him in his first year because I was working so much. And I made sure I changed that for my future kids. Then when you have other kids, you can ask me and I say, never compare your kids and blah, blah, blah. But for your first one, parent how you need to parent, and don't worry about anyone else. Dustin, would you concur? And you don't have to, but.
Absolutely. I mean, you just find your way, right? Yeah. Everyone's going to tell you what they think you should do. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they do that with their kids. Like, you'll become judgmental of other parents and stuff, but just find your way. Just find your way. And you know what? As long as they're healthy, fed, and happy and safe, you're doing a good job. You're going to have days where you feel like you did everything wrong. But just know that at the end of the day, it's just your job, and the reward is way bigger than the sacrifices you'll have to make.
Beautiful.
And I think I said something similar to Clay the day before you were going in. I just said, take it all in. I said, like, enjoy those first moments when you meet him, because those moments are gone so fast, and you just have to. Your life changes. Everything changes in just like the split second. The second you hold that crying baby that's yours, the first time, it's just like you go through a wormhole, and it's like, it is everything I need to do to protect you and make sure you grow up to be amazing.
Yes.
And, you just love them. And the last thing, sleep when you can.
Yeah.
If baby's sleeping, you better fucking be sleeping. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that should be a bumper sticker. But and two really quick one, Russell, two fun ones. If you're posting social media or whatever about your kid, don't say he's cute. Let other people say he's cute. Like, don't be one of those parents that, oh, he's so cute. No, you can say that privately, but don't do that publicly. And you're never babysitting your own kid. You're looking after your own kid. You're never babysitting your own kid. I hear parents make that mistake a lot. They say, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm babysitting Sean. No, you're looking after, that's your kid.
Yeah, it's like, I am spending time with my child.
I feel like that's something, a mistake that more dads make than the mothers do.
Fair.
Yeah.
So from the very young to the very old, Jim Rutherford, who is now a special advisor to the Vancouver Canucks.
Great.
He was just announced today by the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Same haircut as your kid, though.
Yeah.
Same haircut as your kid. Yeah.
Yeah, they do have the same haircut. It's great. The 2026 class for the Hall of Fame for the Pittsburgh Penguins has been announced, and Jim Rutherford is included along with Marc-Andre Fleury. So that's kind of cool for them. But beyond his, obviously a Stanley Cup winning president for the Pittsburgh Penguins, when you look back on the legacy of Jim Rutherford with the Vancouver Canucks, now that he's moved on into a special advisor role, what do you remember from Jim Rutherford, and what kind of legacy do you think he leaves behind?
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 poignant parts I remember. I think the biggest thing is the team was so dysfunctional under him, and you thought it was bad under Benning. We're not comparing eras. They're both bad, right? They kind of combine to where we are, put us in the last decade. But what's really interesting is when he first came, I was excited because we knew of his track record. I knew he was getting up there in age, but you can't argue with his success. Then I didn't like the way they treated Boudreau. Maybe that was kind of that wasn't smart thinking. Maybe I was a little biased, whatever. But I didn't like the way they treated Boudreau. But then I saw that in 18 months, they had completely turned this team around. They got rid of bad contracts, made some decent trades, got the drafting back in order, right? It's not bad, Lecker-Mackey, Verlander, so on and so forth. And then I thought it was good. Then it was building up to that 2024, which was awesome, right? Way better than expected. And then all the drama, and I don't know if that's a Talkett and Foot thing, if that's a Rutherford and Alvin thing, but Rutherford was the man in charge, and all this locker room stuff. And his loose lips were probably really good for us as content creators. I'm sure it drove his players, his staff mad. And you, Dustin, you talked about these leaks, how it's so tight now, and it's good. I think some of those clickbaity content creators are wondering what they're going to do with their lives now. But yeah, it's a lot tighter now. But with Jim Rutherford, it was quite the opposite, and we had a field day, right? Our shows were filled with people talking about him. So it very up and down, right? Had high hopes, didn't like the way he treated Boudreau, loved the way he built, cleaned up the team, 2024 high, and then to come crashing down to be the worst team in the league just 2 years later. It's almost unfathomable, right? You remember, and last thing I'll say, and then you guys can jump in, of course. Remember that all-star pitcher that had Petey, Hughes, Besser, Demko, Miller, and Lindholm, who just got traded to us, right? This was the year after.
And Bo in the wrong jersey.
Yes, exactly. There's like 6 or 7 guys, and yeah, ever since then it's been a dog's breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the biggest thing, you brought up the Benning era. I think the biggest thing for me is the talent was dysfunctional in the Benning era because he didn't know how to build a proper team, but the culture was better, on and off the ice. that is the issue that I think I started to have with the Rutherford era is, like you said, the unceremonious firing of Boudreau. To see a man cry on the bench because he's so dedicated to his job and that team, and then the fans loved him. And I mean, yeah, maybe it was a bit of a country club atmosphere, but I would have taken that every day over what we had last year or the year before.
Yeah.
They were on their way up. They were an offensive team. Yeah, maybe they needed a different defensive coach, but it was just domino after domino where it seemed like they were picking out the pieces that made what it meant to be a Canuck good. And they just, one thing after the other. Trading Horvat, I think, was a pretty big mistake, considering he's scored 30 goals every year.
Yeah.
That's consistency. And then they bring in streaky guys who have a history of being streaky in DeBrusk and things like that. And as those things started to happen, I was like, what? It's patchwork at the NHL level. I was impressed with their drafting for sure, because that is something Benning screwed up royally. And that's why we're at where we're at.
Yes.
We have that gap of like we had to trade in guys from 23 to 26 because all those draft picks were traded away. But now we have Coots, Patterson, Sherratt, all these young guys that are higher round draft picks coming into the minors that are going to kind of reignite this fan base, I think, a lot. And it's unfortunate because I think we got Rutherford past his prime.
Yes.
But he is still a very smart man. And I think he manipulated the Aquilinis into this rebuild, given the moves that he made. I mean, he personally went to Adam Foote and said, you need to coach the team, knowing full well that he was not a good hockey coach. And also knowing full well that Quinn Hughes was leaving. Like there was you can't tell me that was the hope that was going to get Quinn to stay, was hiring Adam Foote. No, that was well, Quinn's leaving, we might as well tank.
Well,
that's my take on it.
I mean, that would be my question for you then, Clay, would be, despite everything, despite, the Boudreau and the failure to get the talent to stay, because he was clearly bringing in guys like Zadorov, Lindholm, two very, like that run against the Oilers was crazy. And I still say to this day, if Demko's healthy, they probably beat the Oilers. And then beyond that, because Demko unfortunately can't stay healthy, even if Brock Besser is in that game 7 instead of Mikheyev, the Canucks win that game and they move on to the conference finals. Like that, I will always look back as what if Brock Besser didn't have the blood clot, right? So beyond the fact that he couldn't get the talent to stay, Jim Rutherford has left this team in the perfect position to start a proper rebuild and has actually done a pretty good job of bringing in a bunch of assets that can be quite hard to get. So when you look back on this, do you think a decade from now, people are going to look back on the Jim Rutherford era and say, you know what, it was a bit of a roller coaster while I was here, but he left the team in a really great spot for this team to move forward?
That is a great question. What's that saying? The ends don't justify the means. So one could argue that, yeah, you got to where you wanted to be, maybe a few years late or half a decade too late, but at least you got to a point that you need to be. So maybe that's okay. But I still look back at how it happened. I still look back and that was part of my answer for him not to rebuild. And it looked like, I don't know about you guys, it looked like we were climbing out of it in 2024. It looked like we could have escaped. I didn't look at the contract, and maybe they should have kept Horvat over Miller. Maybe that was the start of the downfall. But I remember myself thinking, vlogging the fact, hey, maybe we don't need a rebuild. Look at this team. It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. And if you don't know any of the drama, if we don't know all the stuff that we've been talking about on our shows for the past 2 years, then you say, yeah. And if this team's a contender in 4, 5, 6 years, yeah, then maybe the end do justify the means, or the means justify the ends, or they justify each other. But it's hard to see that right now. Although I am happy. I am happy that they're at least doing it.
Yeah, when I look back now too, I think about how many character guys they just let walk this regime. Every time we had like a Zadorov or a Shen, like these guys wanted to be here, wanted to be part of it. They were good guys in the locker room, stuck up for their teammates. And then you see who we keep throwing temper tantrums, yelling at the goalie, slapping his stick, that And you could just see, if you know patterns and you know kid, like if you're a parent, it's like that is not going to translate well to teammates. Like that's just not going to create a positive environment. And pitting teammates against each other as a coach is kind of like Fight Clubbish. And it seems like it was just a really poor leadership, led to poor room culture, which led to an absolute collapse in an organization. And I'm just so happy to have such stand-up human beings, hockey aside, in the Sedins and Ryan Johnson, controlling things now, moving forward out of the Rutherford dark days. And congratulations to him on his Hall of Fame with Pittsburgh. It is deserved, obviously. Like, he has a great hockey legacy. However, you know, I'm ready to move forward. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Clay, now that we've moved on from Rutherford, I mean, he's still technically on the payroll, so I don't know what he's getting in his special advisor role, but you look at the Sedins as presidents. You got Ryan Johnson, you got Manny Malhotra, you got Hermiston got hired, Richard Seeley, the whole coaching staff got promoted for the most part. All the different things they've done, the draft, the signings, all the free agents. When you look back on the offseason, the first one for this new regime, if you're going to give a letter grade out to the Vancouver Canucks for this offseason, what letter grade are you giving to them?
With the qualifier of if they were indeed limited in their spending and they were told that they couldn't go out and get big name guys, I'd give them a solid B plus. Yeah, like almost an A, but certainly not as bad as a C. I do like their draft with Caleb. I really do. Like, he was almost put in a tough position because people fell in love with Stenberg, and when San Jose traded Eklund away, we kind of knew that that was going to be the end result, right? So, unfortunately for Malhotra, it was almost by circumstance that people were against him already. So I hope that changes. So I think they had a great draft with Novotny and Rogalski, and Malhotra. So that's good. I see what they were trying to do with those early trades with Hoglander out, Gallagher in, right, Marcus Pettersson out, Alexiak in, and Shen, and then signing Shen and signing Cotter. So I was fine with all that activity that happened in that first week. We'll see still what happens with some of their heavy contracted guys. And yes, they had to fill 2 coaching staffs, right? Both Vancouver and Abbotsford, and work around the edges too of their management team. So I think the biggest thing for me, guys, is it feels like the Canucks again. Alvino Rutherford, God bless him, didn't feel like the Canucks. Sedins, Malhotra, Johnson, that feels like the Canucks. And I do think that there's a certain buzz and excitement. But I'm not convinced it's going to translate to ticket sales, because amazingly, they still raised prices after last year's season. And that's, you guys know, that's the whole story of when Mike and I made that very difficult decision. It was a resource allocation decision. I had my son's wedding and other things, time, energy, money. I can still cheer for the team as much, even more than before, but I don't have to spend thousands of dollars to do it. And I'm happy. I'm comfortable with that reason. And for Mike, he was actually even more upset. He felt that he felt disrespected by the team. And he said this publicly in the couple articles that he was in, because he's been a 20-year season ticket holder and they were still raising prices on him, but he wasn't getting his value. So we feel completely comfortable in our position. And I say that because if there's all these student rush tickets, if the resale market is pretty weak, right, and people can get in, it's harder for season ticket. That's not the only reason why you should be a season ticket holder, but that is one of the reasons, right? Trying to get some of your money back. So I say all this because I think that I give them a B plus for the offseason. I think it feels like the Canucks. I think there's an optimism. But as the very first thing I said when we started is, I think they can improve by 5 or 6 wins, but they could still be in the bottom 3, if not last, in the league. And that's okay. That's what we need for at least one more year to truly do this rebuild that we just talked about. So overall, I feel good, but I'm not sure if it's going to translate to ticket sales, at least at the start.
Yeah, and we've talked about the finance and stuff with a couple of guests here, and I try to play devil's advocate a little bit just on the business side of it, and in the sense of cap went up in US dollars. The Canadian dollar continues to weaken against the US dollar. And when your revenue intake is in Canadian, and then you need to convert it to pay revenues in American, you are taking it on the chin every single time you convert that money. And so in the league, in the sense that, the 25 American teams are doing great, right? Like with the revenue sharing, it's great. They don't have to convert their money. They don't take any losses on paying their salaries, but the players are loving it because they get paid in US, convert it back to Canadian, and it's like, oh, no, I'm getting extra money, right? Well, that's one of the perks, I guess, of coming to Canada. You get paid in US dollars, and then you are pretty much set. So on the business side, I can understand how I would imagine most Canadian teams are going to be in similar positions in the sense of having to raise prices some way, somehow to keep up with the unstable economy right now. Just with, these tariff wars and not knowing what trading deals are going to be done. I mean, if your business is done in America, but you're in Canada, that's a tough go.
Yep.
Right now, Pedersen is making $16 million Canadian a year, just so everyone who wants to know, based on the exchange.
Just convert the cap, like the total cap, right?
Yeah.
From Canadian to US dollar, or from US dollars to Canadian. And that's his revenue, right? Yeah. Like that's what he pays out to the players, not what you see on paper.
Right. And Dustin, I get your point. I guess my only thing I would say back to that is, does that factor in the fact that the taxes up here are so bad too, right? So I hear what you're saying about the conversion for sure. Add another 40%, right? But then you're basically giving that 40%. Yeah, but for sure.
So Clay, you're usually one of the more optimistic members of the Canucks community. I want to let you know you've just given the lowest mark so far of anyone who's been on the podcast. I think almost every single guest has given an A- to the Canucks for their off season so far. Would you be willing to increase your grade to an A- from a B+ if they manage to get a first-round draft pick for Jake DeBrusk?
Great point. And actually, even before we talk about Jake, the reason why I didn't have A-, and not to get into the weeds, but I would have loved for the Canucks to retain or to pay some of Brendan Gallagher's salary and get a pick, an asset of some sort. And that's exactly what I was thinking about. The rumor was they didn't, because Aquilini said, no, I don't want to take on any extra money, right? So I'm going to forego an asset. And that's such a small thing, but you guys know this is currency, right? You can add all these up and you can use them in packages. You use them straight up one-on-one, one for one, whatever it may be. So if DeBrusk, it's so funny how at first when the season ended, guys, I was like, there's no way you're getting a first for DeBrusk. Look, Connor Garland, who was better, got you whatever you got, 2 and 3, right? Tyler Myers got you 2 and 3 or 2 and 4. I get them mixed up. So how is DeBrusk going to get you a first? But then I saw what some of these guys were going for in the offseason. I was like, no, get a first for this guy. So I will stand by my B+, but I will happily. And I like Jake. He's good for our team, but we don't need guys like him right now. God bless. I love Brock Besser. He's my favorite current player, but those are kind of guys that we may need 1 or 2, but you don't really need those guys in a rebuild. Like this is when you should be reaping as many assets as you can. But I also get that you can't trade all your veterans too. So yes, I will upgrade to an A-. Call me as soon as the DeBrusk deals goes down, and I will give my stamp of approval.
I think
I'll change when it goes down. Trust me.
Yeah.
Russ is fun. I will be doing cartwheels. I will be jumping up. I will be running down the street, and I'm not particularly capable of doing that.
At the end of the day, if DeBrusk does not end up getting traded, he's a member of the Vancouver Canucks next year. I still think there's a good chance he gets traded at the trade deadline. There's going to be some desperate teams looking for. So for me, when that was a poll question I put out a couple of weeks ago, it's like, do you think DeBrusk gets traded before the season? Do you think he gets traded before the deadline, or do you think he not get traded at all? The fourth option is always uncontrollable laughing and crying in all of my poll questions. So I think my answer was, I think he probably gets traded before the trade deadline, unless by some miracle the Canucks are in some kind of position to be on that playoff bubble, which I've talked about. If Demko stays healthy, that's probably a situation where you could see the Canucks tickling that wild card spot, because the Pacific Division is going to be wild this year. But I still think if you play DeBrusk and he doesn't end up getting traded, if you play him as a third line player and a power play specialist, I think that's like the only position I can really accept him as a member of the Canucks moving forward. I think you both probably agree with that as an assessment of his game these days.
I can't see him in the top 6 anymore. It's just like his shooting percentage 5-on-5 is not effective. He's too perimeter off 5-on-5. When he gets to the net front, great. But he just isn't generating enough or helping enough. Maybe in a Manny's coach system, it's different, right? Like that's the thing is like, I do think maybe he could benefit from that, but I think just his game is more serviceable as a third line player with high offensive upside. I mean, the third line and second line are like interchangeable, right? You just want a little bit more defensively responsible guys together. But the biggest thing I'm honestly just looking for this year is chemistry. Right. I don't want to see Evander Kane playing 82 games stapled to Elias Pettersson, dragging him down like an anchor. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff I don't want to see again. I can't sit through another season. I know we won't have to because Manny's here now. And so the right people will be playing in the right spots. So that being said, like if he does end up having to stay here, I will give him a chance.
But you know what's interesting though is Russell, you said something about, you know, if Demko's healthy, maybe you didn't say they were, maybe they're flirting with a wild card spot. And Dustin, you said maybe by Christmas, you know, this team could surprise people. So I have time for that argument. I also have time for the argument of I think a lot of Canucks fans, and I'm there, like I'm very optimistic, but a lot of them are almost flippantly saying, oh, if Demko has a career season and healthy, if Pettersson regains his form, and if then yeah, for sure. But I can also see all those things happening and us still being really bad. Because I'm sure you've seen the article Thomas Trance did, the player, but I mean with dumb decisions things. He's saying that the Canucks, but from a stats perspective, actually got worse. Right, their offense got worse, their defense got worse. Shen and Alexek in, Pettersson out, kind of thing. And who knows about the goaltending? So I can see them having great character, being hard to play against, standing up for each other, and some of these guys popping offensively and still being bad. So I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm just saying, I'm reiterating how fascinating, intriguing this season is going to be.
I think Dustin
absolutely. And like that's our high water point, right?
Yeah.
Like we also have we've said if we're losing, at least it's going to be good structured hockey, right? You're going to be watching good hockey, good culture, guys playing for the logo on the front, not the name on the back.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for. And obviously the high water mark, like Russ said, if everything goes right, the other teams in the Pacific didn't really get much better.
True.
I mean, like Edmonton really didn't make anything happen that's going to make me say, oh, they're going to get 20 extra points in the regular season. Vegas, if anything, got a bit weaker. The only one who made kind of strides was San Jose until free agency, when they anchored themselves with Darnell Nurse and freaking Jake Trouba. So I don't know that the Pacific is going to have anyone that's going to wow me, right? And so that's where it's like the Canucks could be in a situation where they are contending for a wild card spot, or even that third spot in the Pacific, because when you look at everyone around the Pacific Division, no one really made any leaps and strides forward.
Right. Aside from San Jose and Anaheim, naturally just getting better too as they.
Yes, because they're just in that that time period. I mean, Macklin Celebrini and Ivar Stenberg are going to be disgusting to watch together.
Yeah. Well, as they say on the Locked On Canucks podcast, me and Dustin might be smoking that West Coast bias, because I think we're high on Manny Malhotra's system. And I think that's the main thing. Demko is such a talent that in a world where he stays healthy, and then Manny Malhotra comes in and actually has this team playing any kind of system, because who knows what the heck Adam Foote had this team doing last year. The combination of those two things, and then the pillow fight that is the Pacific Division, I think that's where, if those three things come together, then I could see the Canucks in a position where I don't even necessarily say they make that wild card spot, but at least they would be tickling it. Because even if you look at it, last year they finished with, what was it, like 58 points or something like that? It was ridiculous. Even if they had 20 more points, you're looking at 78 points. Let's put it even a little bit more. Let's say they do really, really good. You're looking at like 82, 83 points. They have a giant step forward. Then suddenly you're looking at a point where maybe the wild card team for this division ends up being like a 90-point team, right? 92 points. Suddenly you're looking at that's kind of where I'm coming at it from. Isn't necessarily that they're going to suddenly be a 96-point team, but because of the softness of the division. So, but I mean, at the end of the day, it does take a bunch of factors that haven't really panned out for this team for any of that to happen. So it's a lot of balls in the air.
This is so right, and this is so messed up, you guys, because you guys probably know it was a shtick of mine where I could never even say tank before. I would just say T word. I could never even fathom it because I don't believe in it. We proved that you can still lose a lottery or win a lottery. So there's no magic. There's no guarantee, right? But how messed up is this where we are talking about if things go well, the Canucks in a weak division could be flirting with a playoff spot, but we might be saying that's not the best thing for this team right now. And I would never have said that. I would have never even thought about saying that 2 years ago. And I'm almost feel like I got to take a shower as soon as we're done because I'm thinking these dirty thoughts. Like, what's happening to me, you guys? Look what this team has done to us.
Well,
exactly.
Father have sinned.
If I put my fan brain as much to the side as I possibly can, which is difficult for me, you look at even, let's say the Canucks improved by 10 wins, right? Like 10 wins. That's 20 more points over the course of the season. That is still a point percentage that is going to have them finish bottom 5 in this league, right?
Yep.
So
You're
even with a massive stride forward, which is a big step, like the best example would be the Montreal Canadiens, who under their first full year with Martin Saint-Louis, they did take a big step forward, but they were so bad the year before that even with 20 more points, they were still not even close to that playoff spot. So I think realistically, this team is a bottom 5 team, but having said that, who knows what can happen? We've all seen this team do things that we never expect them to do. And as Canucks fans, that's all we have to hang on to, that all of a sudden this team's on a Stanley Cup run. Or Game 7 against the Oilers. So
exactly.
We talked a little bit about Petey. I think we're all under the impression that he will be here next season. Reports came out from Rick Dhaliwal. The team did not approach him or his agent talk about waiving his movement clause, so he will be a member of this team moving into the new year. So Canuck Clay, Manny Malhotra calls you up because you've been a supporter of this team for so long, and he's like, man, you've been such a, keeping a close eye on this team. Who are you putting on a line with Pettersson to start that new year? And the second part of that question is, would you consider that to be the first line?
Two really good questions. It's funny, you guys, I knew this was going to come up, so I saved my Jake DePress comment for here. I know both you guys hinted that maybe he's third line material. On this team, though, I could see an opening night lineup that has Petey between DeBrusk and Linus Karlsson. That is my top line, because if you want to keep that bro line together, if you do Besser, Rossi, and Ogren, and now is Ogren a top 6? I don't know. And then now your third line, or maybe you put Heat. So that's the thing. I could see actually DeBrusk. I agree with you. I could see DeBrusk being a third line winger if Hedo's A, healthy, and B, you put him on a wing instead. And then you're going 4 deep of Pettersson, Rossi, Ratu, and then if someone like Kutz or Sasan or one of the young guys, right? Or that Russian guy who I still don't know why we signed him. But yeah, so there's so many, or even Akil Thomas. Like there's so many options down the middle. They're not great options. So if it were me, I actually think it's going to be DeBrusk and Karlsson. I think that's going to be his wingers. I don't know if that's what I would do. If it were me, like Gallagher, does he have enough gas to be a first line? I don't think so. Like Paul Cotter, no. So who else we got? You put Besser, but the Pettersson Besser thing hasn't really worked well. So, sadly, there's
it could work if you don't put DeBrusk on the left. That was the problem with Besser and Pete.
That's right.
Like Besser and DeBrusk are kind of the same guy on either side.
Great point. So maybe you put Petey between Besser and Ogren, and then now you have Rossi, and what do you call it? And that goes to my second answer is first line, second line. I know Thomas Drance wrote about the fact that is it going to be Marco Rossi, because Marco Rossi is probably more gifted offensively right now, although Petey is still much better defensively. So I still think Petey's the first line center. That's how they're going to list them on depth charts. I really think that's the way it's going to go. And I do think, I accept that, Dustin. It's either DeBrusk or Besser, but it can't be both. It simply can't be both.
Yeah. I think we saw it fail so horribly wrong last year. They're just too much the same, which isn't a bad thing. You need a shooter like that, but 5-on-5, you need someone creating some space for Petey, who's getting double coverage all the time. But yeah,
Yes.
no, and honestly, now like I in a Manny coach system, we're not gonna have a one line like line one.
Right.
It's gonna say we're playing this team tonight, so this line is gonna get more ice time because they're gonna be more effective against this defense, and that's just the way
Right.
he coaches. It's not like he's not gonna trot the same thing out every single night. Like we
Yeah.
saw like hundreds of lineup changes through the Calder Cup finals. I mean, he had
Right.
two forwards coming out and two defensemen coming in every game
Yeah.
for the whole playoffs. So he is super analytical. He puts
Yeah.
guys in positions to succeed, and I think that's what I'm most excited for going into this
Yeah.
season is seeing where guys end up. And if he does end up with DeBrusk and PD together, I mean,
Yeah.
he must see something in the game that will fit, and I trust it. Like that's the thing. If I see DeBrusk playing with PD going into the start of the season, I trust Manny's judgment as a coach, having watched what he did for the last 2 seasons with Abbotsford.
Great point. Great point.
Yeah.
How about Novotny with PD for 5 games? Oh yeah.
Well, that's I've already said that if they get rid of DeBrusk,
Well, I don't know about Novotny. I don't know.
Junior.
Did you guys see this? Adam Novotny signed a contract with the Green Bay Gamblers, which is a team from the USHL. So he's now signed with 2 junior teams for next year, which I was very confused. Clay, what do you think about that? Like, what is that? Why would he sign another contract with another junior team? It seems strange to me.
Well, I believe this Novotny is a goaltender.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not. So I think you're trying to get me and trying to make me look silly in front of all your viewers, but I'm not going to fall for it, Russ. That's okay. Yes, that was pretty funny, actually. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I was so confused when I saw that. I was like, what the heck is going on here? It's like, oh, okay, it's not the same guy. If you see the picture on X of it, it's this scrawny little guy. So as soon as you see him, he does not look like the beefy Novotny.
Like that guy doesn't look 240 pounds or 215 pounds or whatever he is, 215.
Oh, so good. So good.
So the last thing I'll ask Clay, when it comes to the Canucks moving into next year, there is a ton of young talent on this team. So many, we got 4 young defensemen. We got a bunch of young guys that could make the lineup. People who are, Ratu, Lekarmaki, all these different guys. When you're looking at this roster moving into next year, is there a young guy on this roster that you have a good feeling that they're going to take a big step forward and make a really big impact on this roster moving into this new season?
Yeah, the hot take would be, I would love if Novotny or Coots could stick and make it, but they don't need to. Like that 19-year-old rule is made perfectly for Braden Coots this season, right? And it's going to be made perfectly for Adam Novotny next season. So they're set up quite well. So as much as I think that would be a cool story, you can give them a few games at the start of the year. That's what all these teams do before you say, okay, now it's time to get serious. I think, to me, the biggest one is Zibuya. Contract notwithstanding, he was the key centerpiece in the Hughes trade. He should be paired with Hronek as your top pairing, and he's gonna play a lot of minutes, and he's only whatever he is, like 20 or 21. He's young still, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
we got a couple of very young guys and a couple of very old guys, and then we got Hronek right in the middle.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think Ryan Johnson said he expects a veteran and a young guy for each pairing, and obviously that would be Buyam, Hronek, Alexiak, Philander, and then DPD and Shen. Shen can't play all 82. There's no way I could probably play. No, I can't do. So then maybe someone else comes in there, but. I like Verlander's game a lot, but he's not gonna be a PP1 guy. He's not gonna be a horse like Buyam is. So to me, it's weird because he doesn't feel young, but he is young. He's only 20 years old. Z Buyam's my pick to really step up, and if they don't sign him now, which they should, it's going to be even more challenging. Like he's an RFA, where I'm not worried that and he can't even be offer sheeted. So I'm not worried at all. It's just going to be a fascinating game of how they play this out with him and Ogren as pending RFAs, right?
I always try and give credit to anyone, but I can't remember where I saw this. Hronek actually had the most points per 60 on the power play out of any defenseman in the entire league last year, which I just saw come out. I'll try and find the link and put it in the description. But for whatever reason, the amount of points that he had on the power play, points per 60, so one of the fancy stats, Hronek was number 1. So, I mean, yes, I'd love to see Zeev Boom do it as well. But something tells me it's going to be very similar to when Quinn Hughes joined this team. And everyone's like, why is Quinn Hughes not the number 1 power play guy? And it's still Alexander Edler. And you guys are crazy to have Edler there. Something tells me it's going to be Hronek PP1, Zeev Buoy and PP2. But you could even see, I would not be surprised to see a situation where you have Vilander and Buium as two defensemen on that second power play unit to start the year. So it would be very interesting to see what ends up happening. But yeah, in Manny Malhotra we trust. So it should be fun to see what happens moves into the new year.
Yeah, Hronek was good on the power play, like obviously with his bomb, but anytime it gets blocked or whatever, he's not the fastest guy going back. So I'm always a little worried.
Yeah, his recovery is not great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, okay. Here on Twitter, Alan Walsh. So it is his agent that put this out, and it was tweeted out by Trevor Beggs. And he says, pretty surprisingly, hashtag Canucks stat from last year that flew under the radar. Among all NHL defensemen who played at least 50 minutes on the power play 5-on-4, Filip Hronek led the league at points per 60. And he played all 82 games, which is crazy too. He was at 8.31 points per game. The next defenseman down was Adam Fox, Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Evan Bouchard, Quinn Hughes. So on top of the entire pile was Filip Hronek. So Alan Walsh risen up his man, who's not even in a contract here, but getting us good stats out there. And Trevor Beggs, always good for stats. For the
trying
daily
to get the
high.
fans off his back about the trade rumors, right?
Like,
we're trying to trade my client.
Yeah.
Yes. In a forgettable year last year, it is easy to forget that Hronek did kind of pop off after Hughes left. I mean, he did kind of start getting a lot of assists and was burying a few goals here or there and was getting more involved offensively. And it's easy to forget that because we all just kind of want to forget last year. But a little bright spot was his game and stepping up and eating those big minutes and filling a big void. It's easy to forget that, but props to Hronek for that. And like you said, Shen isn't playing all 82 games. Likely rotates with Mancini, I would guess. As the seventh guy on that right hand side, and because DPD is kind of in that weird gap. He's kind of a veteran now, given what he's been through. This will be his fifth NHL season, I think now. Wow. Or piece of a fifth year. So he's been around the block enough to handle third line minutes, carrying with a guy who's mobile and smart like Mancini. So
quick tangent, just because we were talking about Hronek. Your thoughts if Hronek is captain? Yay, nay? What do you guys say?
So this was one of those moments that I was like, people ask us this question so much. It's our chat's favorite question, I think. Hronek should be captain. When are they going to name? I don't think they should name anyone captain. I think a group of alternate veterans in Hronek, Pedersen, Besser,
maybe Shen,
Alexiak or Shen, right? You throw A's on four guys, right? Two on the back end, two on the front end, and they are the leaders. No one guy has to shoulder the load right now. And then when you do that, the true captain will emerge out of the young guys. And I think, we were kind of fed the storyline already, and Coots is a leader and he's captain material and he's a potential future captain of the Vancouver Canucks, right? And so we're already being fed the narrative. But as soon as Ryan Johnson came out in his first press conference, they asked about the captaincy, and he said a captain will emerge and will show himself when the time comes. And there's no rush to name anyone a captain. Do I think Hronek might be great? Leader? Absolutely. I think he's great in the locker room, could be a great locker room captain. But media facing and all the extra stuff that comes with being a captain, I just don't know if it's for him. I don't even know if he wants to be.
The only reason I want Hronek to be the captain is because I think it would be hilarious to have him in front of the media every single night.
Him and J-Pat.
Oh, God. Just those two going at it every post game.
That's awesome.
Canuck Clay, this is the time of the podcast where I give the floor to you, so you have the opportunity to speak directly to the perfectionists who are watching and listening to this podcast. So do you have anything to say to the people?
Yeah, I want to say first, Thanks, guys. Thanks to both of you for having me on. Love what you guys do, as I mentioned a few times, and it's good to know that Canucks content creation is in good hands. Well, at least in the six of our hands. I don't know about anyone else, but no. We're good, and keep up the great work, especially throughout the summer. Yeah, I just think I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've been given. I'm very grateful for the people that I've connected with, and the trust that people have in me. And again, I don't pretend to be anything that I'm not. I think part of the appeal to what I do is the community that is formed, and much like you guys have. And one thing that Dustin, both you guys, you kind of hinted at it. I also love it not only when they ask us, you guys, questions, but when other community members jump in and help answer that question. A, it shows that they're looking out for each other, and B, it's one less thing that we got to answer. So that's a really, really good thing. So I just love what you guys are doing. I'm very grateful for what the community that I'm building. And I will say that this year is going to be very interesting from a standpoint. I'll be at the arena less. It's not like I won't be at the arena, but I'll certainly be at the arena less. That means technically more time to devote to the channel. I'm not making any grand promises or anything like that, but it's going to be just a different perspective for me. But I think in some ways it's going to keep me energized and challenged to come up with different things. At the same time, not forgetting what my bread and butter is. And I know I'm a sucker. By September 2027, I'll be back there as a season ticket member, so we'll be fine.
Well,
Manny will win you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I mean, we didn't talk about it because it's a couple, it's old news now, but without Sportsnet 650, all of us Canucks content creators really need to step up our game and get ready, because I think it's going to be crazy out here. By all accounts, it sounds like the Canucks games are going to be broadcast on Kiss FM. I think at first we thought it was Jack FM, but now it sounds like it's going to be Kiss FM. And then it even sounds like
104.9, yeah.
And then the pre-games and post-game shows are apparently going to be streamed as well on some kind of a digital platform, is what we saw as well, which your buddy PJ actually
YouTube
wrote about.
Things like that.
So it should be very interesting to see. Dustin, anything you want to say to the people?
Clay, thank you so much for coming on. First and foremost, before we get to the people out there, it was great to sit down and have like a nice long just chat about the Canucks. Keep up everything you're doing. You are obviously basically the godfather of YouTube Canucks content creation. All of us look up to you for paving the way. Like you said, your channel's turning 22 or something years old. So a long time at it, and very dedicated to the team, obviously, with the time that you dedicate volunteering and being a season ticket holder. So it was great to finally sit down and have like a nice talk, because it's so rushed sometimes in the intermissions and things like that. So thank you for coming on. It was great. I look forward to what you bring us as consumers of content as well. I'm not just a creator. I do watch all the other channels because I just love Canucks. Canucks content. I just want to be informed. So thank you. And I look forward to the next time. As for chat, hope everyone's still having a great summer. Obviously not a lot of news right now going into the prospect showcase in I guess 3 weeks away now and counting. So hopefully we can get some sort of something going for that, and we will see everyone very soon. Like, share, subscribe, whatever you got, whatever platform you're on listening to the podcast, make sure you share it around for us, because Russ is very dedicated. He has a very full schedule coming up for us this year. So if you need content, if you were a 650 listener and you need somewhere, go subscribe to Clay's channel, all his socials, come here to us at Nothing is Perfect, and we'll welcome you with open arms. And as for now, we'll see everyone next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Clay, very much for joining the stream today. And we look forward to having you on as a special guest, as our intermissions will need a lot of filling with 84 games this season. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your night.
And I can do it from home, not at the arena this year. All right. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much for sticking around to the end of today's episode of Nothing is Perfect. We would like to let you know that we're going to be live on September 12th and 13th for the Canucks Prospect Showcase against the Seattle Kraken. We will also be live for all 4 of the Canucks preseason games. And of course, as per usual, we will be live during every single Vancouver Canucks game, all 84 this season, including 15 times in which we will have a Canucks doubleheader with coverage of both the Abbotsford Canucks and the Vancouver Canucks all in one stream. So make sure, if you haven't done it yet, to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button wherever you're watching or viewing or listening to this content. And remember that my name is Russell Holiday. This is Nothing is Perfect. And make sure that you make good choices.
Nothing is perfect.